Hello, and thank you for joining us on today's webinar. My name is Alex Garrett, and I'm from the Veeam Channel Marketing team. It's really great to see so many of our partners joining us today. So at Veeam, we know that licensing flexibility and simplicity are among your top priorities. So on the 1st of October this year, we launched Veeam Universal License to simplify our subscription licensing and to make selling Veeam easier and even more portable. I'd like to welcome our speaker on today's webinar, Tracy Parks, who is Partner Manager for VicTaz, and she'll be sharing with you the key changes to our licensing and the benefits of the Veeam Universal License. So before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. This webinar is being recorded and you'll receive a copy of the presentation and the slides in the next week. You will have noticed that you were automatically muted on entry. If you have any questions, and we do encourage you to submit your questions, please submit them via the questions pane and we'll go through those at the end of the presentation. So I'll now hand over to Tracy to get started.
Hi, so welcome everyone. And so what we'd like to do is basically talk about, thanks for the introduction, Alex. So we'd like to welcome you all to the Veeam Universal License Overview training. So the purpose of this video is to give us a bit of an overview, key updates Veeam is making to its portable subscription license offerings. So what we're going to talk about is the current licensing options today and why our customers need portable licensing, and then we'll deep dive into all the changes made on the 1st of October, including all the updates that will benefit you and your experience with selling Veeam. Okay, so Veeam offers three ways to license products. So you've got your perpetual licensing, which is metered by CPU socket, subscription licensing, which is metered by workload, and rental licensing for the Veeam cloud service providers. So perpetual and subscription licenses are the most common licensing options in the industry and are available options for Veeam end customers. So many customers today are experiencing changes in their environments that require license portability and the need to protect workloads that can't leverage per socket style licensing. So as a result, we're seeing a greater demand for subscription licensing. So portable licensing is becoming more important to our customers because we're now facing complex needs created by multi-cloud environments with various workloads in various locations. So according to research by Forbes and ESG, hybrid cloud adoption grew from 19% to 57% in the last year. And 81% of organizations now have a multi-cloud strategy. The way customers are backing up their data is also changing. In 2018, 15% of backups were in the cloud versus 23 projected in 2020. So simply put, as customer environments increase in complexity, they need a solution that makes managing their environments easier and licensing options that enable their business needs to support all workloads, products, and locations. So Veeam helps customers meet the demands of their changing environment through Veeam Universal Licensing. So this portable subscription license simplifies licensing into one fully featured universal license that includes the Enterprise Plus feature set. So all of the capabilities in our top line feature set are included in the universal license. So with universal licensing, customers can protect any workload, whether virtual, physical, cloud, enterprise application, or file shares they need to back up. So customers will be able to purchase Veeam universal licenses in bundles of 10 or more licenses and then use those licenses to protect what they need when their needs change. So when a workload's no longer needed, the license can then be repurposed to another workload quickly and easily. So no matter how their environment needs change, whether they go from on-premises to cloud, from VMware to Nutanix, from physical to virtual to cloud, this licensing solution pivots to meet their needs with no hidden fees and no cloud tax. So the Veeam Universal License is the simplest, most flexible and most capable license option available to customers. So you might be asking, didn't Veeam do this already with Veeam Instance Licensing? Why are we changing licensing again, and why now? So the answer is, yep, we listened to our customers and our valued partners, and they agreed. Look, Veeam Instance Licensing was a great first step towards true license portability, but that step wasn't without its challenges. So offering 3 editions per product caused merge complexities, and the waiting table was complicated for users to grasp. And with the up and coming launch of Veeam Availability Suite version 10 and the rollout of additional capabilities such as NAS, Postgres and MySQL, the demand for subscription will only grow, and Veeam needed to simplify its licensing before launching version 10. So the Veeam Universal License makes licensing simpler in a few different ways. So first, by offering a single edition for easier adoption and management. So Veeam Universal License will offer only one fully featured capability at the Enterprise Plus feature set for Veeam Availability Suite, Veeam Backup and Replication, and Veeam Backup Essentials. So Veeam Universal License will make it simple for customers to calculate their license needs. So no more complex waiting table and no more fractions. We all love that. Every workload uses one license instance, simple. Also, centralized management will also be easier with universal licensing thanks to a fewer merge complexities. So previously sockets and license instances had to match editions, which created confusion and complexity. Now customers will be able to merge universal licenses into any edition per socket license of the same product. And besides being simpler, Veeam Availability Suite, Veeam Backup and Replication, and Veeam Backup Essentials will also see a 33% decrease in the price for the Enterprise Plus functionality. So what does this mean from a product perspective? The products that used the instance license will now use the universal licenses. Veeam Backup and Replication, Veeam Availability Suite and Veeam Backup Essentials, and the new Veeam Backup and Replication Starter Package will all be sold using the Veeam Universal Licensing model. So we wanted to take this opportunity to reiterate some of the changes that did take place earlier this year. So last year, Veeam Agent for Windows, Veeam Agent for Linux, and Veeam Availability for Nutanix were all separate products with separate licenses. And with Veeam Instance Licensing, we pulled that all together, and now they roll up as modules of our workhorse product, Veeam Backup and Replication. So any customers who need to protect a workload, they can now have all Veeam, so all these 5 bullet points under the new universal licensing model. So all this stuff, especially it rolls up into the Veeam Backup and Replication to protect your physical workload, to protect your enterprise applications such as Oracle, SAP HANA, protecting your Nutanix VMs, protecting your cloud workloads, whether they're in AWS or Azure or any other cloud, and protecting your NAS file share. So this is coming in version 10. In addition to using Veeam Universal Licensing on the Veeam Backup Replication product, and will be available on Veeam Availability Suite. So Veeam Backup Essentials. And we also have a new product called Veeam Starter, which I'll mention in a minute. And lastly, for those customers interested in Veeam One monitoring capabilities, they can access that through Veeam Availability Suite and Veeam Backup and Replication. So not all Veeam subscription-based products will leverage universal licensing yet, and these include Veeam Agent for Oracle Solaris, IBM AIX, which is targeted to be offered through universal licensing with the release of version 10, backup of Office 365, Availability Orchestrator, and Veeam Management Pack for System Center. But I'm pretty sure the 2 major products listed here that you'll most probably care about is Veeam Backup for Office 365 and Veeam Availability Orchestrator will continue to be sold as separate subscription licenses, not on the VUL or the Universal License Plan just yet, but more to come. But right now, they'll be sold separately. Okay, so as of the 1st of October, Veeam Instance Licensing was formally rebranded to Veeam Universal License and is now available on the Veeam Pricebook. So at this point, only the fully featured Veeam Plus feature set universal license for Veeam Availability Suite, Veeam Backup and Replication, and Veeam Backup Essentials will be available to purchase, and all new subscription sales will be Veeam Universal License. So Veeam Instance licenses will no longer be sold, new or renewal. Existing customers won't see any impact until the release of version 10. At V10, existing instance license customers will be upgraded to universal licenses at the earlier of the two scenarios. So either when they upgrade to Veeam Availability Suite, Veeam Backup and Replication, or Veeam Backup Essentials, or Veeam 1, 10 and or Agents version 4, or when their contract renews. So it's important to note that this upgrade isn't only for current Veeam Instance Enterprise Plus license customers. This will include existing Standard and Enterprise Edition customers, and they will be upgraded to a fully featured Veeam Universal license at no cost. So customers who upgrade will have access to NAS, which is Veeam Universal License only, and all the V10 goodies. Finally, they'll have access to the more flexible merge rules as they kick in, and we'll talk more about that later in the preso. Okay, so as you would have probably seen before, this table shows the existing waiting tables for Veeam Instance licensing. So think of this as the before scenario. In this scenario, customers had to decide whether they wanted Standard, Enterprise, or Enterprise Plus Edition. Once they decided on an edition, they had to calculate how many workloads they need to protect, and thus how many instance licenses they would need to purchase. So many of these workloads are edition agnostic, like servers and workstation agents. So the result was customers needing to do some complex calculations, and that wasn't very well received. So now we're simplifying this completely. And as you can see in the after table, now Veeam will offer a single universal license for a subscription that consumes one single instance. So every workload type, whether it's a VM, a cloud VM, physical server, application server, or starting with version 10, a front-end capacity for NAS, will be one workload per instance. One change to note from the upper table and the Enterprise Plus column is around workstations. So going forward, we'll be licensing workstations in packs of 3. So one universal license will protect 3 workstations. This new structure is about keeping it simple, no fractions, like we all love, and no difficult calculations to do. Simple for our customers, partners, and sellers. More good news, there will also be a price decrease. So with Veeam Universal Licensing, and let's just have a bit of a look and see how this works. So when you compare Veeam Universal Licensing pricing to Veeam Instance Licensing Enterprise Plus packaging, you'll see a price decrease between 20 to 33%, depending on the package a customer wants to purchase. But let's look at this in a little bit more detail. So moving forward, customers will get full featured capabilities at the Enterprise Plus level at a lower cost per workload. So this means customers who are only using instance licensing to protect servers will see a price decrease to protect each server between 17 to 33% less. The same will go for workstations, cloud DNS and SAP HANA and Oracle applications. So net, many of our existing customers are going to see a price decrease. While they might see a slight increase in the initial purchase price, the cost to protect each workload on average is going down. So that's a benefit. However, one scenario to be aware of that may result in a price increase is for customers who have purchased Veeam Backup Essentials at a lower price point. So to address the need of these customers, we're launching a new package called Veeam Backup and Replication Starter, which will address the $40 per instance price point. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a few moments. So as you'll probably notice in the previous slide, we'll be consolidating from 9 down to 4. So let's take a closer look. So as we just reviewed across the board, there is a decrease in price as compared to MSRP for each product at the Enterprise Plus edition. So Veeam Backup Essentials, so we just itemise this. So Veeam Backup Essentials, they received a 33% decrease compared to the current Enterprise Plus offering. So a reduction of around 120 per instance down to 80. Veeam Backup and Replication is around a 20% decrease from around 150 down to about 120. And the Veeam Availability Suite's around a 17% reduction from around 180 per instance to, and at an end price to the 150 per instance at the VAS Universal License. So, and Veeam Backup Starter will now be the entry-level point instead of Veeam Backup Essentials Standard Edition. So, yeah, the MSRP in this table will all be on the reseller distribution price book, so you can check it out at any point. Okay, per socket licensing is not going away. There will be no change in pricing, and there are no plans to require per socket customers to upgrade to subscription. They do not need to migrate from per socket to Veeam Universal License, but they can if they want. The per socket license will continue to be offered in all 3 editions, Standard, Enterprise, and Enterprise Plus. And the last thing we'll talk about on a per socket basis is we can provide them with a free universal licenses. So per socket only customers can receive up to 6 gifted universal licenses, and that will expire on universal license purchase. So I've mentioned this before, so let's talk some more on this on our new offering. So VBR, so Veeam Backup Replication Starter is a starter package intended for small to medium business customers, very similar to Backup Essentials, targeting customers who have 100 employees or less. So it will include VBR Standard Edition capabilities, not the fully featured Enterprise Plus Edition capabilities. Starter will also leverage the Veeam Universal License waiting table, meaning customers will only need 1 universal license to protect a physical server, 1 to protect a cloud VM, 1 to protect a hypervisor, etc. So Starter will be sold by subscription only using Veeam Universal License. Like Veeam Backup Essentials, it will be sold in bundles of 5 licenses, and the minimum initial order will be 2 bundles. So customers can then purchase single bundles or of 5 licenses above their initial purchase until they reach a maximum environment size of 20 workloads. There are some restrictions, so customers will be able to centrally manage VBR Starter with other instances of VBR Starter, but not with VBR, so Veeam Backup Replication, Veeam Backup Essentials, and Veeam Availability Suite. It does include basic support and the ability to update and receive patches. So again, this is a price point intended to address the lowest price point customers whose needs are more than the Community Edition but can't quite afford the full VBE experience. Okay, so just as a refresher, as of the October 1st, you'll be able to sell 4 primary, so Veeam Universal Licensing SKUs. So Veeam Availability Suite, Veeam Backup and Replication, Veeam Backup Essentials, and Veeam Backup and Replication Starter licenses. So these 4 SKUs can be broken down into 2 categories. So you've got your backup and monitoring SKUs and your backup only SKUs. Think Veeam Availability Suite and Veeam Backup Essentials as your backup and monitoring SKUs. Remember, Veeam Backup Essentials is limited to only 50 workloads. But those licenses workloads can become much more powerful because 1 license equals 1 workload without having to do calculations using the waiting table. And Veeam Backup and Replication Universal and Veeam Backup and Replication Starter licenses are backup only SKUs. Again, remember, VBR Starter is limited to 20 instances. And also remember, from a feature standpoint, Veeam Availability Suite Universal, Veeam Backup and Replication, and Veeam Backup Essentials all include capabilities at the Enterprise Plus feature level. The VBR license has the capabilities at the standard level edition. As all supported workloads, Veeam Availability Suite Universal, Backup, Replication, and Essentials all support VMware Hyper-V, Nutanix, physical server and workstations, cloud instances, currently with agents, but also with AWS and Azure as well. They will also protect cloud-on-cloud VMs and enterprise application services servers for SAP and Oracle, all at the Enterprise Plus feature set. Okay, so as we reviewed, with the introduction of Veeam Universal Licenses, all the Universal subscription licenses have been consolidated to from 9 offerings down to 4. The primary way this has been done is by retiring the standard and enterprise editions from Veeam Availability Suite, Veeam Backup Replication, and Veeam Backup Essentials, and offering universal licensing at the Enterprise Plus level only. And of course, by adding the new entry-level product, VBR Starter. Okay, in addition to revamping instance-based subscription licensing, Veeam is also rolling out updates to multi-year discount savings. So one thing to note here is that it applies to all subscription-based offerings, not just Veeam Universal Licensing. So that means this new discounting applies to all Veeam products currently sold on subscription within the price book, including Management Pack, Enterprise Plus, Veeam Backup for Office 365 and Veeam Availability Orchestrator and Agents for Unix. So this table also shows the new schedule for paid upfront discounts, which includes saving on our MSRP for 3 and 4 and 5-year terms. So the 3 and 4 paid upfront subscriptions now have 10% discount, and 5-year paid upfront subscription will now have 15% discount of MSRP. Discounts will no longer be offered on annual schedules. Also good news for our Alliance partners, you now have universal licensing available on all of these Alliances price books. And for detailed information on how licensing works at Veeam, check out the Veeam licensing policy page on veeam.com. All of our licensing definitions, terms, explanations on how license keys and support and maintenance, they're all found here. It's a great resource to keep bookmarked in your browser so you can review at any time. And we've also got a customer licensing support. So if you're ever in a bit of a sticky situation and you need help, you can actually log some licensing support calls. Okay, so thanks very much for joining myself and Alex. Hopefully you're now all Veeam Universal Licensing experts due to my expert training. But should you have any questions or need any clarification, we're going to now open up the Q&A portion of this presentation. So please, if you have any questions, please raise your hand in the Q&A panel and we will respond accordingly. Thank you. Okay, looks like we've got a question here. How about license for service provider? Thank you so much for that question. Probably should have mentioned we weren't going to be addressing the VCSP section of that, but happy to, if you want to send me a note, happy to address that with one of the service provider teams. But yeah, that's separate to the universal licensing question. Apologies for that. So we will be posting this on the Pro Partner portal as well. So feel free to click through. And if you do have any questions you want to address, please feel free to reach out to me personally. Happy to answer any questions if you've got to jump off. By the looks of this, my training must have been quite sufficient. There's not that many questions.
So Tracy, we do have
Yep,
one more question coming through.
sure.
So this one is, so each license covers 10 devices, VMs, workstations, etc.
All right, let me just go to that one. Oh, version, okay, sorry. My panel isn't that great. Okay, perfect.
So yes, that is correct. Each license will cover 10 virtual machines or workstations.
Okay, sorry, which one are you going to? Is that the top one?
We do also have another question on when version 10 is being released. So that is a hot topic. We do have a webinar, partner webinar scheduled for next Thursday, the 5th of December on our version 10. We talk you through what's new, what's coming, and some of our release dates. So please register for that if you haven't already. The details are on the ProPartner webinar, ProPartner portal, and we'll also be sending out a link to register for that webinar with a follow-up from this webinar as well. So stay tuned for more details. Very exciting version 10 release webinar is coming next Thursday, the 5th of December. And another question, can we have a copy of this presentation? Yes, we will be sending out a copy of the recording and of the slides as well within the next couple of days.
Sure, I see Jay Anthony sent a message about the 6 free VULs. Happy to, I can sort of address some of these individually. I can send some information out on how they can actually access some of those because I don't have that information on hand. What else have we got here? So Office 365, just for Stephen if he's still on the line. So as mentioned, that isn't currently on the universal licensing at this point, but potentially with version 10, that will actually be accessible. But at the moment, it's still its own separate license. It won't be, yeah, so that more news to come on that. I think there was something about version 10, definitely for the first quarter of next year, is what we've been told, with no exact start date for version 10. Okay. So Tim's mentioned a question on the actual pricing as well. Yeah, so I can address that.
Okay, lovely. I think that's it for questions coming through. If you do have any more questions, please feel free to put them in the chat field or reach out to your channel manager after the webinar. As I said, we will be sending out the presentation slides and a recording of the webinar. And as Tracy mentioned, we do have a page on the ProPartner portal, which is dedicated to all resources on Universal License. So make sure you check that out. I think we'll leave it at there today. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thanks guys.